everyone. Are you ready for the Cathedral of Speed? Because we are here at the TT circuit in Assen. We're psyched to be here. In fact, it's amazing because we've got spectators, and this is the longest grandstand in Europe. It's 1.1 kilometers long, and of course they have a perfect view here to the track. And we're excited because we only have 3 more race weekends to go, and the man who's leading the pack is Kelvin Van Der Linde, who's just getting dressed in the way back, putting on his helmet, and he's definitely ready, but he needs to really give his best, obviously, because 6 other drivers are still fighting for the championship, because Kelvin only has 12 points advantage, so that's not so much, and in fact anything is possible from here. So let's get ready for the qualifying, and let's see how this man and how everybody else can do. Here's your commentator.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Good morning, everybody. Qualifying set to go here at Assen. We've got cars heading out of the garages in a moment. We've got just about 4.5 minutes to go. And there you can see, as we hear Team Radio Mirko Bortolotti, who is a guest driver this weekend in the 3rd of the T3 Motorsport Lamborghinis. They ran 3 cars last time out at the Red Bull Ring with Maximilian Paul as a guest driver. They got a very experienced Mirko Bortolotti in this weekend. He went well yesterday in free practice, although worth bearing in mind that it has an extra set of tyres as a newcomer to DTM, 2 extra sets of tyres. Everybody else gets 3 sets of new slicks for the race weekend, but in your first weekend in DTM, you get 5 sets, so we'll see what his real pace is in qualifying. And the Abt Sportsline team psyching up their driver, Kelvin Van Der Linde, the man that leads the championship. Picked up a 5th and a 6th place finish last time out at the Red Bull Ring, but Liam Lawson re-emerging as his nearest title rival. Started the weekend in Austria, 5th in the championship. By the end of the weekend, he was up to 2nd place and had got to within 12 points of the championship lead.
Danny in front of me. Yeah, copy. That's good.
So there, Philippe Ellis.
2.5 minutes.
Who was quickest in the first free practice session yesterday, and at the head of the queue, interestingly, is the driver that was quickest of all yesterday in free practice 2, setting the best time of the day yesterday, Daniel Hankadea, the Spanish driver in the number 8 Group M Racing Run Mercedes. I'm Chris Hartley. I'm going to talk you through then this first qualifying session to determine the grid for race 1 of the weekend this afternoon here at Assen, which will be the 11th round of the 2021 DTM Championship. We've got Kelvin Van Der Linde on 147 points. Liam Lawson with 2 wins, a pole and a 2nd place from qualifying at the Red Bull Ring, scored an almost perfect weekend. He got maximum points in the races, and he got 5 out of the 6 possible points from qualifying. So he's on 135 points now, just 12 adrift. There are 3 points for getting on pole position. Remember, in each qualifying session, 2 if you qualify 2nd, a point if you qualify 3rd, and 25 points available for each race winner. Alex Albon then, the teammate at AF Corsa 2, the young New Zealander Liam Lawson, who's 2nd in the championship, and also with an onboard camera this weekend, Maximilian Gotz, who is 3rd in the championship on 131 points, 34 points behind Liam Lawson. He too took a big chunk of the advantage away from Kelvin Van Der Linde by scoring 2 podiums last time out. A good crowd gathered here already for this first competitive session of the weekend for DTM. And our other guest driver this weekend, not for the first time this season, is Christian Klein in the JP Motorsport Run McLaren, who was pretty quick yesterday in free practice, although they did have a couple of glitches with the car which cut out on circuit. But the Austrian ex-Grand Prix racer and nowadays GT racer, but also TV commentator Christian Klein, see what he can do in the McLaren here at Assen in his 3rd guest weekend with DTM. Marco Vittman 4th in the championship on 121 points. That is only 26 points adrift of the championship lead. And Marco has been really on form in terms of qualifying in the last few rounds, because if you go back to Zolder and look at Nürburgring and last time out at the Red Bull Ring, he has only once qualified out of the top 3 in all of those sessions. So 2 poles, 3 thirds and a 7th from the last 6 qualifying sessions for Marco Vittman. Compare that with the start of the season where Volkenhorst was struggling with the BMW. First 4 qualifying sessions, Marco Vittman had a best of 10th on the grid and 3 14th places. They've sorted qualifying out. They always had speed in the race car, and he has emerged as a real championship contender as well. As the 20-minute session gets underway, then the car's heading out onto this famous, very quick, very challenging Assen circuit with its wonderful facilities here in the Netherlands. It's 4.55 kilometres long, which is about 2.8 miles. It's got a mixture of super fast turns, slow twisty sections, particularly at the first sector of the lap. There are 12 right turns, 6 left turns, and the longest straight here is over half a kilometre long, 560 metres. Of course, it's famous for hosting the MotoGP, it's hosted World Superbikes, it's hosted Champ Car, and it's since 2019 hosted DTM. So quite a few of the drivers won't have been involved in DTM races here in the Cathedral of Speed as the cars head out onto the track to see if they can go quicker than yesterday. The air temperature and the track temperature are both a little bit down on yesterday. Yesterday it was about 19 degrees, the track temperature. The air temperature was hovering at around about 15, 16 degrees, but it is creeping up. It's up to 14 degrees now, the air temperature. And there we can see confirmation of how it stands very tight at the top of the championship table just this weekend. Hockenheim in 2 weeks' time, and the weekend after that, back-to-back weekends to round out the season with the Norris Ring Street Circuit in Nuremberg as what should be a spectacular venue for the championship decider. Still plenty of drivers mathematically in with a chance, but by the end of this weekend, some of those will have dropped out of contention. So this circuit, which is steeped in history, racing here dates all the way back to the mid-1950s. But it's a venue that's changed massively over the years. It used to be a street circuit interlinking the local villages. It was first run in 1926 for the Dutch TT Tourist Trophy motorcycle race. And the original layout was 28.5 kilometres long. It remained unchanged until 1955, where it became a whole new circuit, replacing most of the original street circuit and purpose-built sections. So on board with Mirko Bortolotti. Team trying to guide him through to get to track position, make sure he's got no cars in front of him. The Italian, the 31-year-old from Trento, who has made his name in GT racing in recent times. He's been a double class winner at the Daytona 24 Hours. 2 years ago, he was the runner-up in the ADAC GT Masters Championship, but I suppose most famously, Blockpond GT is where he made a name for himself as a champion. Had a very strong single-seater career, Mirko Bortolotti, before he got into GTs. Very nearly made it to Formula 1. He's the FIA Formula 2 champion 10 years ago. So there is Kelvin Van Der Linde. Yesterday in free practice, at the start of each session he was up there, but as drivers got quicker and quicker, he dropped down the order a little bit. So in the first free practice session, which was topped by Philip Ellis, Nico Muller was second, Liam Lawson was third, but Kelvin Van Der Linde was only 10th in the first free practice session. The second session in the afternoon, late afternoon, which was quicker, Daniel Hankadea was the driver fastest. Kelvin Van Der Linde got up to second place. That was promising. Fastest time yesterday as a benchmark was a 1:33.3. So 1 minute 33.353, the fastest time across the 2 sessions yesterday, set by Daniel Hankadea with the Mercedes, just about a 10.5 quicker than Kelvin Van Der Linde. Lucas Auer was third quickest in that second free practice session yesterday. Important session then for Kelvin Van Der Linde. Such a strong start to the season, with a win in only his second race in DTM at Monza. And the first 5 races, he wasn't out of the top 4 at all. The first 7 races of the season, he scored points in every race. And it was only in the collision in race 2 at the Nürburgring with Liam Lawson and with his teammate Mike Rockenfeller that he failed to score any points. And then at the Red Bull Ring last time out, battling performances to 5th and 6th. The car, the Audi, wasn't best suited to Spielberg, but he dragged the most out of it, was the best placed Audi, and scored useful championship points. But that was the driver to beat, Liam Lawson. He's going to set the early benchmark time here, it seems, a 36.02. It's a pretty competitive first sector time. But mid-35s is what we got down to yesterday. I think a 35.3 was the fastest Sector 1 time yesterday. So this is going to be a decent time. And Daniel Hunkadea has gone straight down to business, meanwhile, with a 132.663. So that's even quicker than yesterday. Ellis, 133.070. The time should be quicker because they'll all have bolted the new Michelin slick tyres on for this qualifying session. And Liam Lawson goes 132.584. Really built the speed up in the middle and the end of the lap. So 132.584 for Liam Lawson. That's the quickest time so far, but it's only 79 thousandths of a second quicker than Daniel Hunkadea. Auer is third, 132.7. And then Philip Ellis, 133.07 is fourth. Christian Klein has gone fifth in the early stages with the 133.257. And he's only a fraction quicker than Timo Glock, who's in sixth place. But Max Gotts does a 36 dead through the first sector, a 35.9 personal best through sector 2. So he's 13th at the moment, but improving, but even quicker is Liam Lawson, like 35.86 through the first sector. So Max Gotts goes quickest for now with a 132.563, but Liam Lawson is on an absolute humdinger of a lap. Let's see what he can do in the second sector. The third and final sector is relatively short at 21 seconds, so if he can get the middle sector right, Liam Lawson should be on course for a provisional pole position. As it stands, he's only 21 thousandths of a second adrift anyway, and he's going quicker on this lap. On board then with Liam, who hasn't been off the front row of the grid for the last two sessions, qualifying a bit of an Achilles heel in previous rounds that put him in the pack and put him in trouble in the races, but now look at him flying, 35.81 through that middle sector, almost identical time to sector 1. Just got to make his way through the final chicane now here as he attacks the Geert Timmerbocht, heads for the line and puts in a 132.18 to go to the top of the times by almost 4/10 of a second. Fantastic lap, 132.186. We could get into the 131s conceivably. Gotts down to second then, a big old gap that is for Liam Lawson. Yesterday in the free practice sessions, he concentrated quite heavily for most of each 45-minute session on race pace and longer runs. But each time, towards the end, he banged in a quick lap, and he was up there, thereabouts yesterday as well. So the Ferrari looking good here, and Marco Vittman's BMW has gone second with a 132.405. Daniel Hunkadea and Vincent Abril both having cancellation of relevant lap times for track limits warnings, which there were many of again yesterday in the free practice sessions. And Alex Albon puts the next of the Ferraris onto third spot. Nico Muller, who was second in the first free practice session yesterday, has gone seventh. Desperate for a good weekend. Vincent Abril, having had his last lap time cancelled, is on a personal best again to see what he can do as Kelvin Van Der Linde makes it two BMWs now in the top three. He goes through with a 132.561. Alex Albon's 132.74 is putting down the order again. I think he's had a lap time stripped as well. So Lawson, Vittman, Kelvin Van Der Linde now the top three. Kelvin with a 132.444. Sheldon, his younger brother, a 10th slower, down to fourth place. Max Gotts in fifth. So the top three of the championship are all in the top five at the moment in the session. Daniel Hunkadea has lost a lap time, still in sixth. Muller, seventh. Bortolotti, you've seen going well in eighth place. Lucas Auer, ninth. Alex Albon back down to 10th place now. He did get into the top three, but he had his lap time taken away for track limits. And Sheldon Van Der Linde has had a lap time cancelled for you-know-what as well, track limits. So they're being very strict on it again, as they were at the Red Bull Ring. Alex Albon, a few tenths down in sector 1 and 2. He's about 4 tenths down at the moment, but this could be an improvement for him. It should get him well up into the top 10 if he takes it to the line now in the AlphaTauri backed car. Not quite, 11th place for Alex, so his best lap with the tyres were at their peak was the one that was taken away from him. There's Vincent Abril, somebody else that's lost lap times, currently in 12th place in the HRT Mercedes. A very good first sector. That was right on the money, but he slowed down in the middle sector, so this is not going to be an improvement, and he bails for the pits. Kelvin Van Der Linde, very, very good first sector, and a couple of tenths down on the best sector 2 time. Will he finish the lap? No, he's going to head for the pits as well, so the tyres not giving him any more, and he'll have to go again in the second part of the session. Nico Muller, meanwhile, has got himself up onto the front row of the grid into the 132.3s, 132.389 for him. You've got Max Buch still out on the track as well, and Sophia Florsch pushing hard. Mike Rockenfeller Haven't seen him much of the session so far. He's stone last in 21st place. He's running out of kilter with everybody else. Most of them have done their laps and headed for the pits now, but he's only just getting going. So Mike Rockenfeller still hasn't put a competitive lap time in yet. He's at the moment 6 seconds off the pace, but this is his push lap. So he's going for an empty track here. Track still seems in good condition. 36.06, 36.16. So he's about a tenth and a half down on the very best runs through sectors 1 and 2. This could put him somewhere in the top 4 or 5 if he has a good final run through the last chicane. Let's see. His teammate Kelvin Van Der Linde could do with all the support he could get this weekend. But no, Mike Rockenfeller falls away. It's the best lap, but he should get another quick lap out of this. That's a 1:32.9 in the end. So lost 6/10 through the rest of the lap and ends up 7/10 of a second adrift. It's very tight. 9/10 covering the top 17. So he just got Nico Muller out on track. He's lost that lap time as well. So you'll notice his name has dipped down to 7th. So Muller loses a lap time for track limits. And Rockenfeller and Florsch, the other two drivers, still on track. Everybody else in the garages, in the pits, ready to go. And this is the driver they're all looking to beat. Pole position and second in the 2 sessions at the Red Bull Ring.
32.4, Kelvin Van Der Linde, 32.4, and Alex, 32.5.
So Liam Lawson getting all the data on what not just he's done, but what everybody else has done.
Yes, let me have a think, but I think the only limiting thing is I still have a little bit of understeer in the middle of the corner, but I don't want to lose the basically the confidence on entry that I have right now, and end up having snaps because then we lose a lot of time. So honestly, I think the car is pretty bang on. I have a little bit of my lap time in my lap. Copy.
So there, Liam Lawson pretty much bang on.
Just to avoid getting stuck in traffic. So we need to be ready with set 2.
Traffic's definitely going to be an issue. They're all going to bail out onto the track at the same time. Only 7.5 minutes or so to go. And change of front left. Taking the front left off because he picked up some advertising hoarding.
Marco, I'm considering sending you out just to avoid traffic with these guys.
Second at the moment, though, for Vittman, continuing this brilliant run of form he's had in qualifying. Very close second to Liam Lawson in race 2 at the Red Bull Ring. But he started from pole position. He was desperate to win. He was disappointed not to. Losing out at the pit stops to Liam Lawson, who then held him off for the rest of the race, despite a pretty tense final few corners in race 2 in Austria. Fans then ready to go.
Speed limit, white line, map 5, 3 push laps.
South African flag in the grandstand, supporting the 2 Van Der Linde brothers, 3rd and 4th. Remember, Sheldon Van Der Linde got his only DTM win here at Assen last year. He's had really bad luck the last couple of rounds. Sheldon Van Der Linde gets himself into podium positions and then something goes wrong. Puncture at Spielberg, car breaking down at the Nürburgring. But he's quick here, 4th place, 1:32.561, only 0.02 of a second quicker than Max Scott, who's 5th. When we get to the race, Success Ballast will be bolted onto the top 3 from the previous race as well. That is worth remembering. So Liam Lawson is going to have an extra 25 kilograms of Success Ballast on his car for the 2nd race running. And he managed to win with that weight at the Red Bull Ring. Marco Vittman is going to have 18 kilograms on board his car. And Max Scotts will have 15 kilograms of Success Ballast added on for race 1 here at Assen. Cars heading back out then, 6 minutes or so to go. Liam Lawson and Marco Vittman, top 2, 1st and 4th in the championship. Championship leader Kelvin Van Der Linde 3rd. And stopped out on circuit, having had it off, is Dev Gore. Team Rosberg Audi clattering into the barrier square on, and that's damaged the right rear tyre. He's taken one of the marker boards out and sent that onto the circuit as well. So a fairly heavy off there for Dev Gore. That was on the way, the approach into turn 6. That's a very quick back straight that leads into the right-hander, and that stopped the session. So the red flags come out, the clock stops, the session stops, and Dev Gore hobbles the Team Rosberg Audi back to the pits. Front right damage, but I think it's the rear corner that took the brunt of that. And not sure he's going to be able to take any further part in the session. Down in 20th place at the moment, the American driver. And there you can see the right rear suspension buckled. And that car. They'll get it fixed for the race, but they're not going to get it fixed in time for any more qualifying for Dev. He missed the previous weekend before Red Bull Ring at the Nürburgring, then came back and had a really frustrating time in Austria with 2 non-finishes. Still looking to better his previous best result so far this season, his maiden season of DTM, with a 12th place finish in the second weekend at the Lausitz-Ring. Not even sure he's going to get the car back to the pits, look. So a delay here. We had a brief red flag at the end of free practice 2 yesterday when the curb down at that section was being broken up, and they had to go and repair the curb. Really clattering the curbs. It took a few markers out, floppy markers out yesterday as well, and there was an abundance of track limits warnings, which has continued today, but with lap times now being cancelled for several drivers. Notably, Nico Muller, who had got himself briefly onto the front row of the grid, but then that lap taken away, down to 7th he went. So having just gone out, the cars come back, and there's Dev Gore out of the car, inspecting the damage. Just understeered off and under braking, it seemed, slid into the barriers at turn 6. So Team Rosberg with work to do to get the car repaired. But at least the other driver in the team, Nico Muller, seems to have good pace here this weekend. He's all the way down in 9th place in the championship. Still only the 1 podium finish. That was in race 2 at Monza. And have really been struggling with the balance, the setup of the car over the last few rounds. Didn't score any points at all in Spielberg. Got a few points at the Nürburgring, but a best result of 7th place there. He had 1 good race at Zolder with a 4th place finish, but was unlucky in race 1, getting caught up in an accident. Not the only one to have done that in the first race at Zolder. Liam Lawson was somebody else that got tangled up in race 1 incidents there. So Daniel Hungerdair currently running in 6th place. Comes from a racing family. Dad and uncle both racers. His dad, his uncle, used to be a very good racer, actually. Luis Perez Sala, who raced in Formula 1 for one of the smaller teams, Minardi. Don't exist anymore, but Minardi. Many strong superstar drivers started their careers in Formula 1. Mark Webber started at Minardi. Fernando Alonso, likewise. They're looking at the curb as well now. Well, they've got the chance to do so. It's been a bit of an issue here so far this weekend. So they're taking a real hit. Daniel Hungerdair's uncle used to do the team principal for HRTF1 as well back in the 2012 season. And won the Birmingham Super Prix, if you remember that, the street race, the Formula 3000 street race in the mid-1980s when he was a front runner in F3000. Replay then. And it was a bit of a strange one, that, because he hadn't quite got to the corner. It was just as they're getting on the brakes, just as they go past the white line across the circuit, which is where the mark is for the end of Sector 1, the timing being for Sector 1 there. So the car just losing it seems, under braking. And it snapped away, carried huge speed down there as well. So once it started to get away from him, he got no chance really of controlling it. Not much runoff there, and into the barrier he went. Tried to get back to the pits, but the car was not going to be able to recover. So he's had to pull off the circuit, and that's why the red flags have come out. Big crowd gathered here then at Assen. It's our 3rd season that DTM have come here. And say Kelvin Van Der Linde with this race win last year, this magnificent effort to get the race victory at the track. And I'd be delighted to come back here. Others have had decent results here as well. Nico Muller was on the podium both times in both races last year, and he's marched to 2nd place in the championship. Finished 2nd in 2019 as well, Nico Muller.
Track limits. We cannot allow ourselves to have the few laps that we have, maybe 1 or 2 laps that we have, to get to the low. Okay, we are P12 at the moment. We need to go back up.
Yeah, okay.
So the man from Monaco, Vincent Abril, being reminded about the track limits. Come on, we need to move up from 12. We've got the ability to do so. The HRT driver with the best time so far of 1:32.875, but his better time was the one that was taken away from him. Liam Lawson, meanwhile, waits patiently. The driver to beat, 0.2 of a second, his advantage in this session. He's been one of the best qualifiers so far this year. Well, he's had a couple of bad qualifying sessions, as I mentioned. He's averaged 6th on the grid. The only driver that has matched that is Max Gotts, who's also averaged 6th in qualifying. And the one driver that's been better than that has been the championship leader, Kelvin Van Der Linde, who's averaged 4th place in qualifying this year. He's had 3 pole positions, 1 at Monza, 1 at Zolder, and a 3rd at the Nürburgring. And he hasn't qualified outside the top 8 so far this season. But Liam Lawson and Marco Vittman are the form drivers when it comes to qualifying in the last couple of rounds. They're the Michelin medium compound tyres ready to rock. And Kelvin Van Der Linde just trying to figure out where he can find this extra couple of tenths of a second, but he'd be relatively pleased. He won't be happy that Lawson and Vittman are ahead of him, but he'd be relatively pleased with the pace to be up there in 3rd place. And he's almost on the front row of the grid. He's only 39 thousandths of a second adrift of Marco Vittman. And he'll also know that the 2 cars that at the moment are ahead of him are both carrying success ballast in the race. They don't carry it in qualifying, but they will in the race. Dev Gore getting a lift back, we saw there from one of the marshals on the back of a scooter back to the paddock, because he's not quite as far away as he could be, but he's quite a long way away over at the entrance to turn 6, where he came off, and there the car you can see has been put back onto the flatbed. On the timing screen, the clock stopped with 5 minutes and 50 seconds to go. So there, Mirko Bortolotti, the Lamborghini. Great experience he brings. He's a Lamborghini factory driver. He's helped develop the Huracan. So T3 Motorsport and their young drivers, Esme Hawkey and Esteban Moot, can really learn a lot from him this weekend. He can help the team drive them forwards. As guest driver, he can't score championship points. But the Lamborghini struggled a little bit at Red Bull Ring.
In 5 minutes.
Right, so confirmation to the drivers that the session is going to be resumed shortly at 10:42. So that is less than 5 minutes away now. It's 10:37 and 15 seconds here. So drivers getting the signal that they need to focus their minds, fire themselves back up, and get ready to go once again. Everybody, as you can see, remaining in the cars, focused on what they've done, where they can improve, and just hunting, searching for this extra few thousandths, hundredths of a second. Sounds minimal, but it's the difference in DTM between being at the front and being in the middle or being at the back. Half a second, around a minute and 32 second lap, half a second difference puts you either first, or it puts you at the moment outside the top 10. Half a second cover the top 11 drivers in the session. So at the moment we've got Ferrari, BMW and Audi as the top 3. Mercedes, who went really well in the second free practice session yesterday. Their best driver at the moment is Max Gotts, who is in 5th place, with Hankadea just behind him in 6th position. Bortolotti is the best of the Lamborghinis in 8th place. There's more to come from Alex Albon as well. Announced during the week that he will be back as a racing driver in Formula 1. He's still very much involved in F1 as a Red Bull development driver this year, but he'll return to Grand Prix racing with the Williams team next season, which is great news for him. It's been a delight to have him with us in the DTM this season. I know he's enjoyed racing in it, and he certainly enjoyed his race victory as well at the Nürburgring. Engines fired up then. Arjun Maini, who's been really on form the last couple of weekends, particularly at the Red Bull Ring, where he got a first top 6 finish. That has been a little bit off the pace here so far. All desperate to get out, look. Hankadea, Abril, almost coming together. Rockenfeller in between them. Florsch 4th in the queue, Auer 5th. And then just behind Maximilian Buch, who's looked pretty rapid here this weekend as well in the number 18 Muka Motorsport Mercedes. Currently 9th quickest. But it's so tight. Nico Muller in 7th to Alex Albon in 11th. There's just 54 thousandths per second between those 4 drivers. So 5 minutes 50 seconds left on the clock. It's going to take you 2 minutes to get around, out of the pits and around, or more if you are still in the garage or at the back of the queue. It could be the difference. We saw this yesterday. Drivers, when the red flags came out towards the end of the session, drivers that were ahead of the queue got one more timed lap in than some of the others because they were able to get out quicker. So what's it going to be? 5 minutes 50 left on the clock. It's going to be about 3 minutes 50, 4 minutes when they get round to start a lap. So yeah, they should have time. They're only really going to get 2 flying laps in anyway. So a build-up lap, 2 flying laps, or 2 build-up laps and maybe 2 flying laps. And just about have time for it if you're at the front of the queue. But it could almost be last driver over the line gets the time. The track does seem to be getting quicker and quicker. Air temperature's gone from 14 to 15.2 degrees since the start of the session, and the track temperature has also increased now to 17 degrees. So Marco Vittman, freed now of that advertising hoarding that he collected. Just take the front left wheel off to get rid of that. But 0.2 of a second adrift of Liam Lawson. Liam could definitely do with Alex Albon getting up there to help him out in the race. Alex at the moment 11th, but there's definitely more to come. He lost his best lap time through track limits. Another message on the screen is that number 9, Mike Rockenfeller, has been reported to the stewards for impeding another car. That's from the before the red flags came out, so that's something they're going to be looking at. So Daniel Hungadea at the head of the queue, getting ready to lead them all out onto the track. The 30-year-old Spaniard who made his DTM debut back in the 2013 season with Muka Motorsport. He's a Mercedes driver. He has been all the way through most of his DTM career, apart from that one season in 2019 where Daniel raced the R Motorsport run Aston Martin. Actually, that season, the car wasn't the most competitive car. They only had the one season in DTM in the Class 1 era, Aston Martin. But actually, Daniel's best result that year came here at this circuit, a 7th place finish. He's been a race winner. He's had 3 pole positions, 3 podiums, more than 100 starts in the DTM for Daniel Hungadea. Former superstar of Formula 3 Euro Series racing 9 years ago now. He won the championship, breezed the championship back in 2012, a European title, and won Macau as well in 2011.
Go, 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 go.
Right, go, they say. We're underway. Clock ticks down, just over 5 minutes left on the clock. It's going to be just over 3 minutes left on the clock by the time they all get back around to start their flying laps. So some are going to get 3 chances for 3 flying laps, some will only get chances for 2. But 2 is probably the most you're going to get out of the tyres anyway. Esteban Moot's heading back out. Pretty quick yesterday in free practice too in particular, but only 18th at the moment. 1.2 seconds off the pace, the 19-year-old Belgian. After that respite then, you can feel the tension in the air starting to build now. These points you get in qualifying as well, what difference will they potentially make at the end of the season? Kelvin Van Der Linde has scored more points than anybody in qualifying this year. He's scored 11 championship points from qualifying. So that's the equivalent of a 5th place finish plus a point. We've seen in recent seasons more than 30 points have been scored by drivers from qualifying. That's not going to be the case this year. It's been more mixed up, but you can certainly push towards getting almost an extra podium finish with the points that you score. So Kelvin Van Der Linde scored 11 points. The next best, Marco Vittman, 9 points, and Liam Lawson, 9 points picked up from qualifying. 7 different drivers so far this season have secured pole positions. Kelvin Van Der Linde with the most, 3 times on pole position. But Liam Lawson closing down that particular record as well. He's had 4 front row starts, got a pole position last time out of the Red Bull Ring. He's on provisional pole here, and you're on board with him. 3.5 minutes left to go then. 1:32.186 the time to beat. Kelvin Van Der Linde and Philip Ellis getting close, too close for comfort. Bit of contact there as they try to gain track position. Thomas Biermeier watches on, unimpressed. The team principal for AB Sportsline that run Kelvin Van Der Linde's Audi R8. There he is then, looking relaxed as ever, but I bet he's not feeling it. But one chance to improve here, really, on this lap. It might be a bridge too far to try and get pole position, but he's definitely got second place within his sights, and he's coming for the pits. Dev Gore, having got the ride back on the scooter, has made it back to the pit lane, but as you can imagine, not looking best pleased. And the incident between Philip Ellis and Kelvin Van Der Linde under investigation, but the big news is that Van Der Linde's come into the pits, so it didn't look like a big touch, but it's obviously caused him a problem, so he's not going to improve. Kelvin Van Der Linde, that's his run gone. Only positive is that it'll save some tyres by doing a couple of less flying laps than the others. So still waiting for the timing screen to light up. No personal best sector times yet. Liam Lawson doesn't necessarily need to improve. He's got a bit of a cushion, 0.2 of a second over Marco Vittman, who is second. Van Der Linde, they're going to try and send it back out. Might have been damage to the tyre that they're worried about, I think, after that contact. Now, what's he got left?
Vittman is in the last chicane now.
He's got 1 minute and 50.
Push in the outlap.
He's going to have to push pretty hard, actually, to get back in time to start the lap.
Vittman. Vittman is now in turn 1.
So Marco Vittman behind him, starting his flying lap.
Push?
No, Kelvin.
One push, Kelvin, one push.
No, Kelvin, you don't. You might just get one flying lap in, but you're definitely not getting two.
One push.
Yeah, so left rear they were worried about. Replacing that after that contact with Philip Ellis. Team getting it changed as quickly as they could. So he's just going to get the one flying lap. Now, Daniel Hunkerdale sets a personal best through sector 1, and Marco Vittman is a 10th quicker than him as well with a 36.055. It's not the best sector 1 time we've seen. It's about a 10th and a half off the best sector 1 time, which was a 35.866 set by Liam Lawson in the first part of the session. But it's not bad. I'm not sure it's going to be good enough for pole position. 35.8s in both of the first 2 sectors are the times to beat. Kelvin Van Der Linde has the best sector 3 time at the moment with a 20.4. So almost 0.2 down. He's a fraction up in the middle sector though, sector 2. So he's just about a 10th down. It should be a better lap from Marco Vittman, but I'm not sure it's going to be good enough for pole position unless he has an absolute screamer through the final sector. It looks like he's about a 10th of a second down at the moment through the majority of the lap. He needs to find 0.2 of a second. He comes over the line. There's a 132.2. It is his best lap of the session, and he gets him very close. He had a really good last sector. 16 thousandths of a second adrift, though. Max Gotts comes up to 3rd. Arjun Maini, showing his true potential at last, goes into the top 8. 7th place for him. Esteban Moot improves as well, up to 13th. Gets another lap out of the session. There's the checkered flag. First one to take it is Mirko Bertolotti, who has gone up to 3rd place, 132.285. But is that lap time taken away, potentially? Lap times are being cancelled again, and the timing screen keeps jumping and altering as a result. And look at Liam Lawson, absolute best in sector 1, absolute best in sector 2. He's already on provisional pole position, but he wants to make absolutely sure of it. Comes through, and we're going to see him maybe, no, not finish the lap. So maybe just deciding, no, I can't, I've messed it up somewhere, I'm not quite going to do it. What about Kelvin Van Der Linde? He's got this one chance to improve. This one flying lap. Can he improve upon what is now 5th place for him? Nico Muller pushing as well. Philip Ellis has come up to 4th place. Hunkerdale has taken the flag in 6th position. Nico Muller on a really decent charge here as well. Should be moving up the order with this lap. 7th place for Muller. Alex Albon as well. What can he do to get himself up the order? He's down to 14th place at the moment. Alex comes through now, and that puts him 5th. So Alex Albon goes up to 5th place. That's ahead of Kelvin Van Der Linde. Christian Klein on a push lap currently as well, down in 16th place. The McLaren looking to come through. It's Lawson, Vittman, Gotts, Ellis, the top 4. Albon in 5th, Kelvin Van Der Linde in 6th place, and he to 132.8 on the previous lap was not enough to improve. So Clean, 5th place with that run, 132.402. Really good lap from the McLaren to go from 16th up to 5th place right at the end of the session. But it is going to be a 2nd pole position of the year for Liam Lawson.
They take your driver weights. Make sure they take your driver weights.
Out of the car he gets. The last 3 qualifying sessions, 2 poles and a second. And the second place was only a fraction away from pole position as well. The team at Volkenhorst are pretty happy with their second position for Vittman, though.
We have Lawson P1, you, Götz, Ellis, Klein, top 5, Sheldon P10, Block P17. Making the difference again, mate. Well done.
It's not me, guys. It's all of us. We were giving me the car, and I tried to make the best out of it. So thank you, guys. Well done. Julian, sorry, it's not a pole for your birthday, but I think first front row is also not too bad for a birthday present. Maybe we can claim one more for the race.
Well, fine effort again from Marco Vittman. So now that the last 7 qualifying sessions, he's been in the top 3. Sorry, the last 7 qualifying sessions, 6 times he's been in the top 3. 2 firsts, a second, 3 thirds, and a 7th. Absolutely brilliant stuff from Marco Vittman. Only 16 thousandths of a second behind Liam Lawson in the end, but that was enough. Liam, remember, was on a quicker lap, which he aborted at the end of the session as well, so there might be more to come from the Ferrari driver. But it's the Red Bull AF Corse, the man on pole position for race 1 here at Assen. 1:32.186 seconds, 16 thousandths ahead of Marco Vittman. Max Gotts, 3rd in the championship, 3rd on the grid, just over a 10th adrift. Philip Ellis had that coming together on the run out of the pits with Kelvin Van Der Linde is next in 4th place. Christian Klein, the guest driver, excellent job. Best qualifying so far for him and the team in 5th place. And Kelvin Van Der Linde in 6th place. He was hoping to be in the top 3, but lap time's been cancelled as we speak on the timing screen. Christian Klein's had his lap time taken away now, so he's been bumped back down to 16th. That's just happened as the graphic came up. So Kelvin Van Der Linde, that's the news, has been pushed back up 1 place. He will start in 5th with Nico Müller rounding out the top 6. Super slow-mos though of your top 3 who are unaffected by that cancellation of Christian Klein's lap time. Max Gotts, you saw. There's Marco Vittman, who is really pushing for his 3rd championship title. That's the driver on form though, looking for a hat-trick this afternoon. He's had 2 wins on the bounce. Can he make it 3 here at Assen? He starts from pole position. He will carry 25 kilograms of success ballast, but he's all smiles at the moment. Liam Lawson on pole position here at Assen. So just to reiterate, right at the death there, Christian Klein's lap time taken away from him. He was 5th, he's been bumped down to 16th now. So it's Lawson, Vittman, Gotts the top 3, Ellis 4th, Kelvin Van Der Linde 5th, Nico Müller 6th, Vincent Abril in 7th place. Sheldon Van Der Linde will start 8th, with Arjun Maini and Max Boot rounding out the top 10. And after the points that he picks up, the gap, of course, has come down at the top of the championship table with 10 points between them now, 148 points for Kelvin Van Der Linde. In fact, it stays on 147, I reckon, because he was not in the top 3. So it'll be 147. 3 points gained for Liam Lawson. That is a fact. So I reckon the gap 9 points going into the race. He's down to single figures, 9 points. Max Gotts gains a point as well for 3rd place, so he'll be within 15 points of the championship leader. 15 points covering the top 3, and Marco Vittman will get a couple of championship points as well for 2nd place, so he'll move to within 24. So 24 points covering the top 4 going into this afternoon's first race of the weekend, and there are 25 points up for grabs. So conceivably, the championship lead could now change. It could go one of 4 ways by the end of that first race. 55 minutes plus 1 lap coming up. The drivers pose for their photos. Liam Lawson in the middle, Marco Vittman to the left, Max Gotts to the right. All smiles, all happy with their job done so far, but the big test, of course, coming up this afternoon. But they've got the first barrier, the first obstacle out of the way. They're starting at the front, near the front at least, and away from the potential trouble in the middle of the pack. Kelvin Van Der Linde is going to be lining up not too far away from them in 5th place and will not have any success ballast on. And there, Christian Klein, who lost his lap time right at the end of the session. Right, let's hear then from our top 3 drivers, down with Verena in the pit lane.
I'm here with Marco Vittman, who is P2, so great job you did there. And also, all in all, you're 3rd in the championship. So anything from here is possible. So what are you going to do from P2?
Well, I hope to have, first of all, a good race. I mean, qualifying, really happy with P2. We made some changes overnight, which worked well, improved from FP session, so really happy to start on the front row. This time different than Sunday Spielberg. This time Liam is on pole. So you know, it would be the greatest if we can just change the order for the race result later on. But we will see. I will give my best.
I'm sure you will. Thank you so much, Marco. And before we grab one of the other drivers, back to you.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Yeah, well, it couldn't be much tighter, could it? 16 thousandths of a second. I think I'm right in saying that is the closest gap. Yes, it is the closest gap that we've had in qualifying so far this season, beating the previous closest gap of 22 thousandths of a second. It was oh so tight. Back to Verena in the pit lane.
And I've got the man who's in P3, that's Maxi Götz, and also in the total, looking at the championship, you're also third. So from here, I mean, you got to fight really hard, but at this point, so much is still possible. So what's your feeling?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was really important for us to be in the first two rows fighting for championship. So we nailed it. As the best Mercedes AMG car on the grid now in P3, it's quite nice feeling. But I'm a bit concerned about the pace of the others because they were really quick. My lap couldn't be much better. To be honest, it was nearly perfect, and so the others were still a bit quicker. And this means, yeah, we have to fight back in the race.
And I'm sure you will. Thank you so much, Maxi. And Liam's still in a conversation, but I'll grab in just a bit. So back to you.
Thanks. Yeah, looking forward to hear from Liam Lawson. So interesting from Max Götz. I couldn't have got any quicker than that. There was nothing left, but I'm still over a tenth of a second adrift. However, he'll have a bit less weight on the car than the two drivers ahead of him. The top three from the race last time out, your top three on the grid for this one. So Lawson, Vittman and Götz will have that success ballast on board. Could be an opportunity for Philipp Ellis or Kelvin Van Der Linde. Should be a really lively race this afternoon. Don't miss it. That's it from me in the commentary box, but let's head back now to Verena.
And I've got the man who's starting in pole position, Liam Lawson. Congratulations, it's your second pole position this season, and also only 10 points behind the man who's leading the championship. So that's good because he's behind you. So what are you going to do? What are you going to make out of your pole position?
I mean, it's going to be tough today. We have the weights from Spielberg, so you know, trying to hopefully I get the start, staying in front as long as I can. But it's going to be a tough race, you know, with the weight that we have to finish in the top 5 would be positive. Obviously, the main goal is to try and keep taking points away from Kelvin, but it's important also not to focus too much on that. You know, it's very easy to get ahead of yourself. There's still a lot of races left this year, so yeah, maximising today, I think. We did a good job. We got the points from quali. Finishing as high as we can today is going to be important, and then we focus on tomorrow. But with the way the track is, the tyre dig is really high here, so looking after the tyres is going to be quite important today.
All right, Liam, thank you so much. It's going to be an exciting race, that's for sure. And now here are the highlights of the qualifying. Do enjoy and see you later for a very exciting race.